Hello writers and welcome to my channel. I'm Stace and today's topic video is going to be discussing the difference between alpha readers and beta readers. Test readers are a really important part of the writing process, and there are several types of reader that you can look to help get opinions on your work and to improve as a writer. So let's get started. So in my opinion, making connections with people and finding yourself some good readers is something that is kind of necessary for any writer. No matter what publication route you want to take, having eyes other than your own on your project at some point is something that isn't worth skipping or omitting from your writing process. There are naturally a lot of questions that arise with that statement. Who should you ask, and when, and how many people should you ask, and how many times should you send it to test readers before publication, and at what stages? If I was doing a specific video about why test readers are important, that would be the place to get these answers. But today I'm just going to be chatting about the differences between alpha and beta readers. I've seen a few writers get confused between the two or not being aware of the difference between the two, but it does exist. Some quick context first. When I say test readers, I mean people who agree to read a draft of your work and offer their thoughts and opinions on it from their perspective as a reader. This is usually done before a project is considered finished completely and publication ready. This person can be a plain reader or a reader who is also a writer themselves, and it is best to try and find people who you believe will be honest and respectful in their reviews and who you trust with your unfinished works. Test readers can be brought in at many stages, and as the names alpha and beta reader are linked to which point you bring them in. Let's start with alpha readers, naturally. Alpha readers are people who agree to read an unedited draft of your work. They might read it a chapter at a time as you write it, or they may read the entire thing in one sitting once you're done. But the key point is that an alpha reader is someone who reads it before you've made any changes or improvements yourself. They often see the completely raw form of the work who are usually brought in the extremely early stages, often reading draft ones that have not been revised at all. I don't tend to use alpha readers. Some writers find it very encouraging and motivating to have alpha readers involved from chapter 1 because it gives them more of an obligation to write if there are people waiting for those chapters. And some writers are happy to send their unedited work to people for opinions so they can address any big issues in their final major edit. And some people, like me, keep the first draft as a personal space simply to get the story down, knowing that nobody is ever going to see it. Each of those methods is perfectly fine and valid, and we all have to do what works for us. But the thing to remember is that alpha readers see raw, unedited work extremely early on. I will say though that for writers who do use alpha readers, they often just seem to have one trusted person who fulfills that role for them, rather than a lot of people. So what about beta readers? Beta readers see work that has already been polished to some degree by the writer. The writer will edit draft 1 once or several times, or revise it or completely rewrite it, trying to fix as much as possible before they send their work out to beta readers. Beta readers are more of a true test read for opinions of the story as a whole because the piece is often more refined and more in line with what the writer is aiming for than with an unedited draft 1. I tend to send my projects for beta read after I've edited draft 1 once, so they get to see draft 2. I still send this at quite an early stage because I know that my biggest edit is the one that comes straight after beta reads, when I try and work in and incorporate any feedback from them that I have agreed with. I do it earlier because I don't want to become too attached to the way that things are written, as that only makes me less open to suggested changes later on. However, some writers, as I said, won't send to beta readers until part of their very final stages on a project, and that's perfectly okay as well. Test readers of both types also have different functions too. Depending on what you're writing about, part of the test reading stages can involve getting a sensitivity reader involved. These types of readers can help you to make sure that you're representing things outside of your own experience properly and inoffensively. For example, if you have a disabled protagonist but you're not disabled yourself, or if you're writing about a culture or ethnicity different from your own. Sensitivity readers, whether at the alpha or the beta stage, can help you to make sure that you are representing people in a respectful and accurate way, and are an amazing resource if you're writing very diversely, particularly outside of your own perspectives and experience. So, now they've been explained, we can address the other question. Is it mandatory to have test readers for your book, and does that change depending on what type of publishing you're aiming for? Writers will always have different opinions on things like this, but for me, no matter whether you are going for self or traditional publication, you should strongly consider at least one batch of test readers for your book. When you're close to a project and very familiar with it, you can sometimes become blind to the issues with it, and you need other people to read to give their thoughts and to help you to get the best out of it. For me, it's mandatory. I always do at least 2 beta rounds, and I try and get between 4 and 6 different readers for each round as well. I would do this regardless as if I was self-publishing or under any model, or traditionally publishing via querying too. The viewpoints of others on your story can be really valuable, and it's not worth passing that up just to get published a little bit quicker, in my opinion. So, those are my thoughts on alpha and beta readers. I'm curious as to how and if you use test readers as part of your projects, and if so, which type and at what stage. Let me know in the comments, because I really love talking about the different writing processes that other people are using. That is it for today's topic video. The next one will be coming in 2 weeks' time, as always, so look after yourselves and I will see you then. Bye!